Hello, everyone, and hello, welcome, Nikita.
Hey, hi, Akansha. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
We will just be starting everything officially in just a moment, getting everything in line. You know how
Sure,
events go.
sure.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. So great to see so many people show up today.
Okay. Meanwhile, as we start, how was your day, everyone? Are you done with your lectures? Um, do you go to college every day or you attend classes online? How is it going for everyone?
Yeah, offline classes have just recently begun, so yeah, we are still just adjusting with all the new changes after 2 years, but it's
Okay.
going well.
How many of you attended classes for the first time after COVID? Like, you went to college for the first time after the COVID situation. Offline first time, okay. And how many of you have already started liking your college cafeteria food? Any special dish that you would like to suggest? Any special food recommendation you have from your campus? No cafeteria in our college, nothing more special. Okay, all are same. My college used to have really tasty puff and sandwiches and cold coffee. So and Chinese food as well. Not all food was as delicious, but some of them were really yummy, and I really miss that taste now. If you are comfortable, feel free to turn on your cameras and audio. It will be nice to engage that way. So, if possible, can we have your videos
Yeah,
turned on so we can see each other?
for all the participants, ma'am.
Yeah, for all the
Yeah.
participants. I see some of you, and really nice to see some faces so that I don't feel like I'm talking to my laptop. I studied in Cummins College of Engineering for Bangalore. Sorry, Pune.
Ma'am, can you share your college experience with us? How was the journey?
Yeah, so I went to a women's college and surprisingly, I enjoyed it. Not what I thought it would be at the start. I almost had decided I'll stay here until I find another college to get in. Um, but it was a really nice experience, and I credit everything that I am today is because of the college that I studied in. I made really nice friends who are still in touch. It's been more than a decade. We all are still in touch. We are together in our ups and downs, and then we supported each other very well, even in our lows that time. So I think even while I was not doing well, my friends were really supportive, and hence I could navigate through all the challenges and find at least a job in the industry. And then eventually I worked on my own startup and then joined Google 3 years back. So, yeah, I mean, my college had really amazing cultural activities. I was the treasurer of my college, so I was in the student panel. My attendance was not that great, so people or my faculties remember me for my attendance, especially. Um, there used to be letters that were sent to my parents saying she won't be granted permission to attend exams and all of that. So my parents used to panic a lot, and sometimes even I used to be worried because the way they used to scold me and all, I used to feel, yeah, this is the year I would get some access. I was too much into community activities since then, so I would bunk lectures and then do a lot of community stuff in my free time. But that's not what I want to suggest to all the folks listening today. It did work for me, not necessarily that's what would work for you. So don't take the route I have taken. Okay, I can speak more and more about my college experience, but tell me which
Ma'am, can
city.
you also share that? Ma'am, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just asking which city are you joining from, but if you have any question, I can talk about that.
Yeah, ma'am, I have one question that how you landed in Google? It's such a huge company.
Um, so my motivation was never to join Google. Although it's a dream company, I never thought I would be able to make it here. Um, but so here it is. After I graduated, I started working with a startup, and my first salary was 10K. So my first month I was paid 10,000, and that too on an internship or what do you say, temporary basis. They did not tell me in the first month if they would hire me for a long term. But this is where my growth actually started. Startups are the best place if you're looking for exposure to grow your skills. My startup closed in 6 months. So again, I was in a situation, what do I do next? Where do I start working? But the investor of my startup was really impressed in my work, and then they wanted me to uh, basically join their own company. So that was another startup itself. But again, I got a lot of exposure to different things. I voluntarily took up a lot of things that I was interested in apart from what I was hired for. So if I had free time, I would maybe see what the designer does. If I had free time, I would see what the marketing team does, or I would spend some time helping those teams. So in a way, I got exposure to multiple things, and that gave me a few startups ideas. So while I was working with the communities, I understood a few challenges that students face, and I was one of those because I couldn't afford a laptop for a very long time. I mean, till I graduated, I never had a laptop. So or I could afford a laptop, but I did not want my parents to give me a laptop. So I knew that not everyone would have high-end devices. And if laymen like us or students like us want to learn programming, what is an alternative we can build for them? That's how I came up with this idea of uh, basically building a mobile app where students can actually focus on learning new technologies. They focus on building their logic because logic is more important than just writing syntax and all of that. Syntax you'll find everywhere, right? But in an interview, they will ask you, how do you write a logic for an algorithm, or how do you solve a particular problem, and what's the logic behind that? They may escape you from the syntax at that point of time. So that was my first startup. Second startup focused on network security and audit for enterprises. So surprisingly, again, that also went pretty well. Uh, we did network security audit for EZest and few other companies that time. But then it did not go well with the co-founders. We did not align on the idea, so I had to shut that again. And then simultaneously, I heard about this opportunity. I was afraid, especially the imposter syndrome that we all have, and the courage to apply was missing in me. But I had a friend who pushed me to apply for this role, and I applied for it. And then I mean, I thought I would just attend because my friend wanted me to appear for this interview, but I would never be done with it. So I was mentally prepared this will not go as expected and I'll see another failure of my life. Surprisingly, it did go well. So then I basically cleared the interview. This interview was 3 months long. My first interview was where the recruiter said, "Can we have a chat?" And then I thought, a chat is a chat. Like, they will just ask me what I do, where am I from. But that was my first round of interview. Luckily, I did not prepare much, so I did not have that nervousness in the interview. And yeah, then after a couple of rounds, I cleared the interview. It took some effort in following up with the recruiter, getting the offer letter, but finally I got it. And then, yeah, it's been 3 years. It's a roller coaster ride, and I have been associated with Google for 3 years now.
That is incredible to hear, ma'am, about your journey, because I personally can relate to you on many levels. I am also in an all women college and also have a very dwindling attendance.
That's really nice to know. Okay. I see so many of you joining here. Hi everyone, really nice to see all of you here. I hope you're done with your lectures and you're winding up for the day. Feel free to eat food if you've just come back from college. I am sure some of you are hungry. So yeah, make sure you are having food at the same time, listening to this conversation. And if your friends are not yet here, you may want to nudge them quickly so that they can join the session as well.
Yes, please do invite all your friends. What better to unwind to other than Nikita ma'am speaking about her experience? It feels like a podcast right now, a very nice one that is.
Yeah, it feels like a podcast because I'm the only one who's speaking. And that's not how I intend this session to be. So, yeah, please make this interactive. I'd like to hear most of you.
Nikita, I have a question for you. Like, which language you love to code on, like the most, like for development? I mean, every one of us have like a preference, right? Like I like the syntax the most to code. Do you have anything like that?
Will that be unfair to this session if I say it's Flutter or if it's not Flutter? So,
I don't think so. It's a very general question, and it's not. Uh, I mean, it doesn't matter. I guess.
yeah, so Flutter is what I really enjoy the most. Apart from that, I also like Python. And I don't know, I also like JavaScript sometimes because I do have to write some code sometimes. So I write it in JavaScript.
That's nice to hear because even I like JavaScript and
Same, me
Flutter
as
the
well.
most.
My favorite is also JavaScript.
Okay, that's really nice to know. Um, do you think we can start?
Yeah, I guess we can start now.
Okay, cool. So, hi everyone. Awesome to see there are 100 more folks along with me in this session. It's a really nice representation of GDSC leads and their core team members and community members joining this session today. Thank you so much for joining this session, and I hope I can spend some time with all of you, share some insights and knowledge about Flutter and Firebase with everyone. Before that, let me acknowledge and appreciate all the organizers who collaborated and planned this event together. It takes a village to organize an event in collaboration. So really appreciate all the hard work that goes behind in managing these events and bringing all of you together, planning the content and everything else that comes behind an event. So yeah, really excited about this session. I have a few slides to present. Um, Let me go ahead and share my screen. So yeah, my name is Nikita. I am the community manager for Google Developer Student Clubs program in India, GDSC program. I hope you all know what GDSC is. And I also hope you know about the applications that have opened this year. We'll talk more about it at the end if time permits. But yeah, I am from the Google Developer Relations team in India, and that's my Twitter handle, just in case you wish to get in touch with me after this session. And I'm thankful to be here. Thanks to the organizers for giving me an opportunity to connect with all of you and share my knowledge about Flutter with everyone. So, can we have a quick show of hands? How many of you know what Flutter is? Okay, I see some of you raising hands. Cool. I think many of you know what is Flutter. But before that, I already shared my life journey with all of you. You know somewhat about me. But yeah, I did not plan that at the start of the session. So I also included a slide for that. Apart from what I mentioned, I am a foodie. I really enjoy eating veg food, and street food is my favorite. I'm a classical dancer learning Bharatnatyam since the age of 8, and I have worked with IIT Bombay for 2 years on research projects. I write blogs on Medium in my free time, and I'm a international level yoga player, state level basketball player, and district level chess player. I have been awarded CMX Professional Award category as a finalist and Global Women in Tech finalist, and I have given sessions in public at 200 plus places. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. And what is Flutter? Flutter is a toolkit which is provided to developers by Google that can help developers build apps for multiple platforms. So imagine if I tell you you have to build a car and you would need some tools, right, to build that car. Nut bolts, you would need a screwdriver, you would need tire, you would need a steering wheel. So Google has given you all of that, so you can build your own car in simple language, if I had to compare this with. But if you were to develop apps for multiple platforms, then Google has developed this toolkit for developers, which is a cross-platform technology. It supports Android, iOS, Windows, Mac operating system, web, Linux, and embedded. So it actually supports 7 different platforms with a single code base. So yeah, that's the beauty of Flutter. When you write an app using Flutter, you can deploy it on 7 different platforms using the same code. And there are 5 foundational pillars for Flutter. It's super fast. The reason being, if you were to write a code in Flutter, any changes that you make outside the main function, if you were to test those on your simulator or emulator, you can actually do it by using the hot reload feature that Flutter has provided. So developers don't have to wait for the app to compile from scratch and then check the recent changes. In fact, it only reflects the recent changes that were made to the application, and you can see if things are working well or if you want to do some other changes again. Flutter is very productive. The reason being, once you write an application in Flutter, the lines of code have immensely reduced. So developers can now write more lines of code in Flutter because they save time. And it's really easy to write code with Flutter, and hence developers find it productive. It's beautiful. So there's always a conflict between designers and engineers that some designs are very hard to implement. Designers may have specific code requirements, color requirements, and sometimes it's difficult to maintain that in applications. But Flutter has solved all of those, and it really helps you make seamless applications. It's open, so there are numerous communities online and offline that a developer can be a part of, and it's open and free for everyone who's interested in joining. It's portable. Like I mentioned, as you write code in Flutter, you can deploy it on 7 different platforms. Now the question is, what is Firebase? Since I'm going to talk to you about the integration of Flutter with Firebase, you now know what Flutter is, and Firebase helps build and run successful apps. How many of you have heard about Firebase or have used Firebase in your projects? Okay, I think some of you know what Firebase is. For those who don't know, Firebase helps you build better apps, improve your app quality, and grow your application using several services that it has to offer. So with Firebase, you can authenticate a user, you can host your website, you can apply some machine learning and cloud functions, you can add database or backend to your application. Since Flutter gives you the front end, the backend can be managed using Firebase. You can track the performance of your application, check what place is the app exactly crashing. You can monitor the performance of your application. If it's running slow at particular place, you can test your application. You can send push notifications in your application. You can also do some analytics. You can do A/B testing and a lot more using Firebase. So it has a lot of services. You necessarily not need to use all these services in your application, but you may choose a few of them to make your app become a success. And now comes the interesting part, how Firebase marries with Flutter. What does Firebase do with Flutter? There are a lot of services that you can integrate, but these four are my personal favorite, and hence I decided to talk about it. One, you can authorize a user using Firebase. So remember, every time you download a new application, you have to sign up. You either sign up with your phone numbers or your email IDs or your Facebook account or your GitHub account. All of this authentication can be managed using Firebase. So it gives you an instant code that can be integrated in your existing application, which helps you authenticate a user on your side. Firebase Database. So if you were to add back into your application, then you can use Firebase Database. Storage, if you want to store some user data, then you can store it on server, and that is exactly called as Firebase storage. And Firebase messaging. So remember, there are chatbots in few applications, and two people can actually chat, like reaching out to some support, doing some in-app conversations. You can do that using Firebase.
लेकिन ये आज इस सेंटेंस में the shops are closed.
I'm
तो यानी
sorry,
बंद
there is
खुली
a
नहीं
lot
है.
of.
इस सेंटेंस से पता चल रहा है बंद है अभी. बंद वो बंद जो है ना वो बंद वो भी.
Sorry, I had to mute him. But yeah, I hope you understood few of its services. Now, if you were to integrate Firebase with Flutter, here are a few prerequisites. You may want to take a screenshot of the next few slides, just in case you're planning to do a hands-on activity of this session. You can install an IDE of your preferred choice. So it can be Android Studio or VS Code or Xcode, whatever you prefer the most and your system is comfortable with. And when you are building an application, make sure your app is targeting platform versions iOS 10 and Mac operating system 10.12 or more. And set up a physical Apple device to test your applications for iPhone if you don't have an emulator. And if you're doing cloud messaging, then you need to do these tasks. One, set up a physical Apple device. Obtain the Apple push notification authentication key for your app development account and enable push notifications in Xcode under app capabilities. So if you are targeting to deploy an app on the iOS operating system, then you would need iPhone or an emulator which is specific to iOS. It has an iOS operating system, and you need an authentication key so that you can send push notifications even for testing purposes. And then you can enable push notifications in your IDE, which is Xcode under the app capabilities. And for all other Firebase services, you can either use a physical iOS device or an iOS simulator. But if you're sending push notifications, then you need an actual device. It cannot be sent on an emulator. And you can install Flutter. So go to flutter.dev/install, and it has detailed steps on how you can install Flutter on your local machine based on your system configuration. So it has detailed guide for Windows machine, for Linux machine, and for MacBook. So you can download that particular repository that would run on your particular system and then follow the steps that they have mentioned. And then lastly, sign into Firebase using your Google account. So if you don't have an account on Firebase already, then you need to sign into Firebase using your account. And if you don't have Flutter app build already, then I have a link for all of you that you can share or you can use for testing Firebase on your Flutter application. Cool. I hope you were all able to connect so far, and we can go to step-by-step guide on how you can implement Firebase with Flutter. So I'm going to tell you with 6 steps how you can make the integration of Firebase and Flutter happen. So what you need to do is before you add Firebase to your Flutter application, you can create a Flutter project and a Firebase project to connect your application. So these are two different parties as of now, and then you're going to show how you're going to integrate both of them. So if you want to understand more about Firebase projects, I have a link to share with all of you. You can read more about Firebase projects, how to create a project on Firebase. But as of now, it's easy. You just have to log in using your Google account. The next step is create a new project, give it a name, and that's it. You don't have to do much about it. And then the second step is you need to register your particular application with Firebase. So there are lakhs of projects on Firebase, and you need to register your own project on Firebase to make it identifiable. So what you need to do is go to Firebase console and click on the iOS icon, because right now we are talking about building apps for iPhone. And if you have already added an app to your Firebase project, then click Add App on the console to display the platform options. I can give you a demo right away if you all are interested. Let me know what you prefer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I can do that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am just signing into my Firebase account. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
This is the Firebase website. I have logged in, and now I'm going to the console. I will click on Add Project. Okay, I have reached the limit for free testing, and this is my personal account. I may have to delete a few projects. Let me see what can I delete. I think I can delete this one. Okay, or let me try another. Yeah, I have another account where I can. Okay, so I'm going to call it something like testing with GDSCs, and then I'm adding analytics to my project. Analytics location is India because we all are based in India right now. I accept and create project. That's it. So it's a simple step, not much that you have to do, and this project will be created in just few seconds. Now, once you're done with this step, what you need to do is register your iOS application, and then we are going to register our Android application as well. I'll give you the step-by-step guide. Let's come back here because this project is now ready. I click on continue, and I am clicking on iOS right now, targeting the Apple ecosystem. Here is where you would add your com.company.app name. You may not have your own company as of now, but as a developer, you can call yourself something and add that. So com.nikita.app is test with GDSC as a name. I'm just making up right now, but yeah. These two steps are optional. I usually skip this. But make sure you enter the right details over here because this is very, very important. To understand your app bundle ID, what you can do is go to your Xcode, go to bundle identifier in the general tab, and this is where you would know your app bundle ID. So when you start a project on Xcode, you would have your own bundle ID to make sure the iOS operating system identifies your project as a unique one once you deploy it on the App Store. So this is bundle ID is unique for each application that you develop. Once you click on register app, the next step will be downloading the config file. So just download Google service -info.plist. Now this is not, this file does not have some, very secret information, but it has a few identifiers which are very specific to your particular application. So if there are some changes or if you happen to misplace this file, you can again come here and download it. What you need to do is once this is downloaded, go to your Flutter application repository or the folder where you've created your Flutter project. And then what you need to do is place this inside the app directory. So you just have to download this and then put it in your Flutter projects. If you're downloading this file for multiple times, you may see download 1, 2 coming in round brackets. In that particular case, what you need to do is delete 1, 2 or the following post trails that come, because that won't be accepted in your project. And then once I do that, I need to add Firebase Sdk. So what I need to do is in Xcode, I will go to add packages, and then I would add this particular line of code which will pull the Firebase Sdk from GitHub. And then you have to select the latest version that you want to work on, so that you have the latest repositories and pods available in your project. And then you can choose which Firebase libraries you want to choose. You can add Firebase Analytics. With Analytics, you can actually test a lot of things. So make sure you're adding that. And if you're not adding Analytics, then you need to add Firebase Analytics without add ID instead. And then once you're done with all of these steps, just click on next. Then you can, these steps are not there with Flutter. So this I have chosen as a normal project, but with Flutter, what you need to do is, I'll tell you more about that as well, but then just click on next steps and that's it. Then you go back to the console. Right now you've added it with your iOS phone. You can do similar thing with your Android phone. So you can just add something over here to register your app, download the config file, download the SDK, paste it in your project. That's it. That's all you need to do. And then you can continue to add Flutter Fire plugins to your application. So Flutter and Firebase has a really interesting combinations, and there are a lot of plugins that you can use in your application already. You don't need to reinvent the code because a lot of code already exists. So what you need to do is explore the Flutter Fire docs, which has a detailed guidance on how you can integrate Flutter with Firebase with each of the plugins that are available. So just in case you decide to authenticate a user using Firebase, then all of that is already available on this plugins website, so you can explore more about it. Then what you need to do is in your Flutter project, there will be a file called as pubspec.yaml. In this particular file, go to dependencies and add the Firebase latest version that is available. So this makes sure you're pulling the Firebase repository in your project. So call Firebase code and the latest version that is available. Then the last step is you need to add which of the Firebase services you have decided to work with. It's Firebase authentication and Cloud Firestore in this case, and add the latest version. That's it. It's so easy to integrate Flutter with Firebase. The next steps for all of you is explore the Flutter Fire plugins. There is a code lab, which is an amazing example on how you can integrate Flutter with Firebase with a detailed guideline. Try to explore that. And then once your app becomes ready to go to the market, you can do few more steps for your application. So I have a few resources to share with all of you. It's Code Labs, Medium articles, the Flutter official documentation, Firebase official documentation, and YouTube videos that are already available. So just in case you decide to explore more with Flutter and Firebase, all you need to do is explore on Google. A lot of content is already available. Follow the detailed steps so that you have everything that you want to know about Flutter and Firebase. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining the session. I hope you found this session insightful and informative. And if you have any questions, I'm around for another 5 minutes. So yeah, happy to take any questions that you have.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
I
hello,
wanted to
ma'am.
understand that as Java is a platform independent because of JVM. So how, what does Flutter makes platform independent?
So Flutter works on top of Dart, and Dart accesses Skia, which is its engine. So Skia is the underlying engine on which Dart runs, and on Dart is what Flutter is made up of. So yeah, similar to how Java has JVM, Dart has Skia, on top of which it runs its ARM code.
Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Yeah, if we talk about the backend, if we have to maintain the backend for the Flutter application, yeah, Flutter, if we talk, it's good for the UI. So, which stack we will most prefer to make the backend of the Flutter app? Like it will be the Firebase, and similarly, we are using the Node.js and MongoDB. So, what is the best if we have to choose a good backend service?
There's nothing that's perfect or best. It totally depends on your use case, what you're trying to do, and also your developer team. So some of them may prefer something as instant as Firebase, not just because it's ready to use, but because its developers are not as trained to create database structures at the backend. Similarly, some of them may not want to use a third party service, so they may have their own database managing system. So it totally depends
Yes.
on the use case of your application.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, any other questions that I can take?
Ma'am, I just have a small question. How
Sure.
much time it will take to make a basic project on based on Flutter?
It totally depends on your speed. I mean, first of all, you need to install the project. I mean, first of all, you need to install Flutter correctly. Then you need to understand the basics. Depends if you have background in coding or if you don't. How quickly you can adapt to Flutter and then start building applications. So if I were to build a basic two-pager application, I can do it in 10 minutes as well, as quick as that. I've created a clone of Instagram in 15 minutes as a live demo in one of the sessions. So yeah, I mean, it totally depends on you and how quickly you take the grip.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
There are some questions in chat. Would you like me to ask them to you?
Sure.
So someone asked how to make responsive apps. Like, do we have anything inbuilt in Flutter?
So the way Flutter works is it takes or it displays the UI to a user with pixel basis. So if your phone is small, then the pixel sizes are also small, and that's how the application will appear on the screen. But if your phone size or if you're using a tablet or a bigger device, then you have more pixels, and that's how the application will appear on the screen. But one of the best practices that I have followed as a developer is making sure you're using rows and columns, putting everything in a table structure so that the app is neatly aligned, everything comes one below the other. Secondly, there are few widgets that helps you create a stack so that no widget overlaps other widget and everything comes clean to the user. So that's how you can make uh, you know your application look clean and also add more I mean that's how you can basically make your app more responsive as well.
Hello,
Hey,
ma'am. Hello,
yeah, go ahead.
मैम अगर हम फ्लटर का यूज कर रहे हैं तो यूआई डिजाइनर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी.
What do you mean by UI designer? Do you mean a developer or a designer who would give you designs?
तो मैम who gives designs?
Okay, you'll obviously need a designer because their creativity or their work is to make sure you have nice transitions to your application, give a theme to your application. Uh, I mean, how the app buttons would look like, what color, what shape, what size, where do they exactly appear. So they have their own expertise over here, and developers' job is to only bring that design into reality.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for asking such amazing questions. And thank you, Nikita, for answering all of them so wonderfully. I'm sure everyone learned a lot.
On behalf of all the GDSCs that collaborated with us, thank you so much, Nikita, for taking out time from your schedule and joining us today. It was really a very informative session, and we all got to learn a lot about Firebase. So, yeah, if anyone has any more questions, please do drop those in the chat box. We'll try to answer them because Nikita is short on time. So, yeah, thank you so much, Nikita, once again. We look forward to hosting you again.
Thank you so much, Sharanya. Really nice being a part of this session, and thank you all the organizers. It was lovely spending an evening with all of you. We have a career panel as well tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Just in case any one of you is interested in joining, we have few people from the Flutter team. The director himself is also going to join. So I'm sharing the link with everyone who's interested in attending this career panel. It's from 8:30 p.m. It's a limited capacity event, so make sure you join on time so that you can be a part of the event. It's from 8:30 to 9:30. We have a lot of senior folks from Google who are joining. We have a senior program manager, we have director, we have a developer relations